All right, this is OneLastMidnight. Welcome back to another episode of Astroneer. So I want to talk about Astroneer, the game. Z1 just put out a video a couple days ago saying how he's leaving Astroneer, and he gave some opinions of why he felt Astroneer was failing, at the very least for him. And I'm making this video because the last video I put out about Astroneer, people were asking me what did I feel about his comments and what was my opinion. And so if you guys want to hear it, stay tuned because there's more to come. I appreciate the fact that Z1 put out his opinion about Astroneer. It's kind of tough in this day and age to really stick your opinion out there, knowing that people are going to disagree with you and maybe in a way that isn't so friendly. Just remember, these are also my opinions. While I think Z got some things right, I honestly think he got some things very wrong. Before we get too deep in this conversation, you guys might be thinking that this is a fanboy response to some of the things that Z had said. While playing Astroneer Q2 update, the jet-powered update, during a live stream with a subscriber, Joe had happened to do a live stream at the same time, and he came on during my live stream, and we had a pretty heart-to-heart conversation where I didn't really let him off the hook on some answers to questions that I was posing about Astroneer and the future of Astroneer. So if you want to listen to that conversation, I'll leave a link in the description below so you guys can hear that, and so that you know that while I do love Astroneer, I have some pretty strong feelings about the direction they've taken, the decisions that they've made, and the direction in which they're going for the future. Z1 had talked about that he felt Astroneer fell under the category as games as a service. And let me bring up the definition for games as a service for you. You know, one of the key words in the definition of games as a service is monetization, where it's monetized for new content. And I don't really feel that Astroneer kind of fits that category. That, to me, falls along the lines of like an MMORPG or other games where you have to purchase some sort of season pass, or games that can constantly put out DLCs. A great example would be like The Sims or City Skylines or many of the AAA titles where they have never-ending content in which you can purchase. While Astroneer does have a cosmetic store, you could make the single purchase for the game and never spend another dollar on Astroneer ever again. So just by saying that, that doesn't fit the definition of games as a service. I think Astroneer is just one of those games out there, like many other games out there, that are adding to their base game by putting out free content updates. They do, however, have other avenues of revenue in which to continue to generate money so that they can make more Astroneer content. And you honestly can't slight them for that. That's a business, right? That's any business. If you don't offer more products than what you initially start off with, then ultimately you're probably going to wind up going out of business. So no problem there. But to label the game as a service just doesn't quite match, in my opinion. Z had gone on to express for quite some time, actually, in many different ways, that there is nothing new in Astroneer in the last 2 years. And I don't think I agree with that. I mean, I think what he was talking about was lore or story or some sort of epic adventure that we would go on for hours and hours. While he's absolutely right, there isn't any and hasn't been any of that outside of the Wanderers update. There has been a lot of other stuff that's been added to the game. And automation is, while it's not quite a factory game and maybe it doesn't fit very well with the whole Astroneer vibe, it did add in logic, and people have created some very, very impressive machines. So when he made a reference that there is no redstone, like a Minecraft redstone, there is kind of an equivalent with the automation update and the logic that you can create with the items within the automation update, if you're into that type of thing. But yes, no new planets, no new grand adventure, no new, 10, 15, 20, 30 hours of content. I agree with that. It is and feels content light. And while he read off the top description of Astroneer about exploration, what he didn't read off was the more in-depth description about Astroneer. Now, this is directly from the Steam page, where Astroneer explorers frontier outer space and risk their lives in harsh environments to unearth rare discoveries and unlock the mysteries of the universe. In this space sandbox adventure, players can work together to build custom bases above or below ground, create vehicles to explore vast solar systems, and use terrain to create anything they can imagine. A player's creativity and ingenuity are the keys to thriving on an exciting planetary adventures. The key word that we need to take out of that paragraph, or those two paragraphs, is the word sandbox. Over and over again, System Era, through interviews that they've done all the way back to 2016, talked about this is a sandbox survival game. And what does sandbox really mean? Here's the definition of sandbox. A sandbox game is a video game with a gameplay element that gives the player a great deal of creativity to complete tasks towards a goal within the game, if such a goal exists. Some games exist as pure sandbox games with no objectives. So I think System Era has been very true to that term of sandbox game. There isn't a lot of lore. There isn't a lot of guided quests, or hasn't been until recently. It is a more limited sense of goals and go and create your own kind of adventures. Another big word that they threw around in the beginning when they were describing Astroneer is building game. Building game. It's a building game. It's a building sandbox survival game. And they have given us plenty of building elements. I think we, as the Astroneer community that really love this game, the ones that might feel a little bit disappointed with some of the updates, is because we have, as a community, have wanted more. We are the ones that want the lore. We are the ones that want the guided quests. We are the ones that want the new resources. We are the ones that want more building stuff. This is not necessarily the goal of System Era, nor has it ever been stated it is the goal of Astroneer to give us these things. It is us as the community that have really wanted and desired these items. And the backstory and the lore that goes along with everything that is Astroneer. Why are we there? This expectation that we have to kind of selfishly demand more and more and more of our video games, regardless of what video game it is. Especially if it's a content light video game that you're enjoying, you're going to go back and say, I really wish there was more to this. And I think because System Era has been so communicative, they've been so open and transparent with the way that they deal with their community base, it's kind of bit them in the butt. In the sense that, yeah, they're going to get a lot of varying opinions. They're actually listening to the opinions. And so people are saying, why aren't you really listening to me? But I think they have stuck to their goal and their idea of the game, and they are making what they feel Astroneer should be, not what we feel Astroneer should be. Is that right or is that wrong? I think as a company, that's probably the right decision for them. As a community and somebody that invests money into this game and maybe the longevity of the game, maybe it's not the right decision. But ultimately, that stems from me enjoying the game so much that I wish that there was more to do. Not that it's a bad game, not that it doesn't deliver what it's supposed to be delivering, because it has delivered. And the amount of updates they have done have been substantial and for $0 to the user. There are games out there that constantly put out updates. And I don't think that they're unique in that sense, because there are many games that I play that give out free content updates. But they do give out a lot of free content updates, and they are pretty good. Yes, some of them are just one item here or one item there, or a tweak to how power works, or a tweak to how a resource works, but it makes the gameplay so much more enjoyable if you start over again. Now, there can be something said that I don't want to start over again. I'm a longtime player. I just want to continue my story. I want my story to extend. And yes, they are missing some of that, or a lot of that, end gameplay content. But for what it is, Astroneer is a fantastic game. Z had talked about that, the store was a big failure. Their in-game cosmetic store was a big failure for Astroneer. I don't know. I disagree with that. It is not a requirement to purchase from the store. It is not a gateway to get new content by making a purchase. So, it could have been a giant flop for System Era in the sense that nobody would have bought cosmetics. But I think the community is so in love with the game that by giving them a couple dollars here and there for pieces of cosmetic, give some value to it. But I don't think, and I think there's a misunderstanding here, you're not giving money for content, you're giving money for a cosmetic, and those don't ride hand in hand. Because I gave you money for my cosmetic doesn't mean I'm going to get 6 more hours of game content. It means you're going to get a cosmetic and a cosmetic only. Astroneer still holds my interest as a game, and I will always go back to looking at the new content updates for Astroneer when they come out. Some of them have been light, and I felt that they have been content light, and it's just, again, me as a consumer wanting more, and not that System Era did not do their job by producing some free content for me. I think they've been doing fantastically. As for the longevity of the game, how long can they keep this up? I don't know. I honestly don't know how long this will keep going for them. I had hoped and envisioned that this would be somewhat of a Minecraft in space, but it's lacking some of those building elements to continue to keep it going. And then ultimately, if you understand the history of Minecraft, Minecraft was a survival sandbox game, and it took a very long time for them to actually get some sort of story into Minecraft. It is, however, missing some of those base elements like farming, or like, a deeper level of crafting system where it's 5 or 6 items that you need to make in order to build one item. There does seem to be a level of complexity that's missing. And where modding is concerned, or let's just say user-generated content is concerned, Astroneer has kind of taken a hard stance, and they've said over and over again, that's maybe something that we don't want you to do, mainly because of the experience. And that even came out when I was having a conversation with Joe and talking about a scenario builder and or some sort of difficulty sliders within the game. And, there was a statement that was made that said, well, maybe that's something that we ultimately don't want you to do because it's not going to coincide with what our idea of the game is and what we want you to do in the game. And that's valid and it's fair, and that's a business decision that they made. Is it the right business decision? I don't know. I have no idea. Time will tell, right? If Astroneer falls off into obscurity, maybe that was the wrong decision to make. What I find is kind of interesting, and maybe it's not being talked about enough and it's not being appreciated enough, is just the level of communication that you're getting from System Era. What other video game have you played in which you can actually communicate with the development team or with members in the business, and they'll actually talk to you about their game? For me, doing content creation on YouTube for the last 5 years, 4 years or something like that, zero. There's no other game company that'll have this level of discourse, or at least hasn't, and not with me at any rate. And so that's fascinating to me that, and it's not, it's not just the fact that I'm a content creator, because they're inside of their Discord community or in their Reddit and they're talking to people. It's unheard of, ladies and gentlemen. It's unheard of. So the fact that you're maybe not getting what you want or what you wish for or hope for, the fact that System Era is even willing to have a conversation with you and not just blow you off says a huge amount for the company that is developing this game and the games that they're going to be making in the future. I don't know. They've made a decision on how they want to go. We as a community want more, and we feel we're not getting it. That I totally get. I totally feel. I'm there with you. But that's not necessarily something that's wrong on their part. That's just something that we feel. And I said it earlier in this. So at any rate, I said it again. So at any rate, I'm going to say it again. I will continue to do Astroneer stuff. I love the System Era company. As a game company, I love the people that I've interacted with at the company so far. I appreciate what they've been doing in the game, and I just think it's a great game. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I played it a long time, and I still find like little interesting things to do in it. So I'll constantly go back and check them out and see what they're doing. At any rate, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. I'd love to have you in the community. If you want to follow me on any of my social media, you can find the links in the description below. And make sure to hit that notification bell so that way you know when I go live and when I post new videos. If you have anything to say about this, put it in the comments below because I'd love to hear from you. I hope you guys have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.